Netflix is one of the largest streaming platforms in the world, with dozens of new movies and TV shows being added to the service each month. And in the last few years, Netflix has shown a real propensity to create some top-tier historical TV shows and movies. And this list will give you my top 10 recommendations for the best historical Netflix originals that you can go and watch right now. At number 10, it is Frontier, a historical drama based around the North American fur trade in the late 1700s in Canada. And it focuses on a primary character called Declan Hart, played by the always awesome Jason Momoa, who is a part Irish, part Cree outlaw leading a rebellion against the corruption of the Hudson Bay Company and other various fur traders who are terrorizing the local native tribes. This show starts off a bit slow, but a few episodes in, it finds its footing and the show really takes off on a thrilling adventure filled with lots of plot twists and interesting character development for all of the primary characters as well. The weakest part of the story though is that the pacing of the plot starts off a bit slow, especially in the early episodes of season 1 and season 3 as well. But once you get invested in this show, it really does engross you. So if you want a historical TV series about a topic that does not get enough coverage, then Frontier, a show about the fur trade, is definitely for you. The 9th spot on this list goes to Roman Empire, a historical TV show based around various emperors and key figures such as Commodus, Julius Caesar, and Caligula, with all of them leaving an everlasting mark on Roman history. This show is a mixture of a historical drama and a documentary, with the story playing out on the screen and then being further delved into and explained by narrators and professors in Roman history. I really enjoyed seasons 1 and 3, which focused on Commodus and Caligula, two emperors of the Roman Empire who are not as well known to audiences and interesting enough to deserve having a full season dedicated to their lives. The second season, which focused on Julius Caesar though, I felt was the weakest, and it even felt a bit out of place because the acting for most of the cast was subpar, and Caesar's story has already been told in many other shows and documentaries in a much more effective manner. But if you are looking for a show that is easy to get engrossed into and presents some of the complex history of the Roman Empire in a simplified manner, then Roman Empire is the show for you. At number 8, it is Age of Samurai Battle for Japan, a documentary series which covers one of Japan's most bloodiest and deadliest times in feudal Japan, covering the tail end of the Sengoku period from 1551 to 1616. This documentary covers the story of three powerful daimyos from Japan's history: Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu, all of whom played a major part in unifying Japan and bringing an end to feudal rule in the country. This documentary grips you from the get-go, throwing you straight into the middle of a civil war and battle after battle, which really highlights just how dangerous and turbulent these times were for samurai and common folk alike. This series is a great gateway to use to get introduced to Japanese history and the societal norms and culture of medieval Japan, but it is not a history book, as there are a great number of historical inaccuracies in the show, and some of the narrators are not very interesting either. But if you are looking for a show about Japanese history and samurais that is interesting and engaging from the first episode, then Age of Samurai Battle for Japan is my recommendation for you. At number 7, it is Marco Polo, a Netflix original series focusing on the exploits of Marco Polo during his time at the court of Kublai Khan in Mongolia, and the various political intrigues, military coups, and internal court politics he had to contend with during his time there. This show is perhaps one of the most expensive historical TV shows ever created, and this high budget is evident in the production quality of the show, with set pieces, costume design, and battle scenes all being of the highest quality. What is not of the highest quality though is the pacing of the plot, which stumbles at many points, especially in the first season. But midway through the first season, Marco Polo does find its footing and it transforms into a thrilling historical adventure. The cast here is amazing, the character development of Marco Polo is also great to witness, and the war between Chinese and Mongol Empire is well portrayed as well. So if you're looking for a show that will introduce you to the Mongol Empire in all its glory and give you an overdose of some amazing martial arts and battles at the same time, then Marco Polo is my recommendation for you. At number 6, we have the Netflix original film The King, which focuses on the life of King Henry V, who was the King of England during the early 1400s, and he was widely renowned throughout history for his small contingency of English archers and knights and their victory over a much larger and better equipped French army at Agincourt. This film follows the life of Henry Monmouth from shortly before he becomes king to a few weeks after after his victory in France, and it does a great job of bringing this king's unique story to life as well. Like most productions by Netflix, this is a high-budget, high-quality film with fantastic acting by the entire cast, most notable being the quirky performance by Robert Pattinson, which you will either love or hate. My primary gripe with this film though is the level of historical inaccuracy throughout the entire movie, which is used to make Henry look like a reluctant, peace-loving king who hated the idea of war, when the reality is so different, and Henry was a king who loved war from his first day on the throne, and he couldn't wait to finally get some glory and conquer the lands in France. But if you can ignore some of the historical shortcomings of the film, then you will find a movie that has great acting, an interesting storyline, and some fantastic large-scale battles, which really brings the bloody reality of medieval warfare to life. The fifth spot on this list goes to The Crown, a Netflix original historical drama which focuses on the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, and as England's longest reigning monarch and the longest serving female head of state in world history, Queen Elizabeth has lived a life which will put her down in history books as one of the most influential women ever in history, and The Crown is a show which does justice to her life. The show starts off with Queen Elizabeth's adolescent life before she became queen, and it will end on season 6, which displays her reign and influence on the UK during the 21st century. This show has amazing actors across all seasons, and the story is told in a well-paced, honest, and historically accurate manner, showing Queen Elizabeth as a multi-sided person rather than a privileged monarch. Honestly, there's very little to critique about The Crown. It occasionally stumbles with pacing, but other than that, The Crown is a pinnacle of historical TV shows and shows to viewers the responsibilities, moral conflicts, and hardship a monarch has to deal with, and just how much women have influenced the world we live in today. At number 4, we have Rise of Empires Ottoman, a TV series which shows in great detail the siege and fall of Constantinople by Mehmed the Conqueror, a show which will be of particular interest to historical military TV show fans, as this entire show is about the military tactics and strategies needed to successfully maintain a siege against a well-fortified city. Emperor Mehmed deals with a number of obstacles and struggles to get past the impregnable defenses of Constantinople, while also simultaneously having to contend with betrayals, disease, and a constrained amount of time to finish the siege before reinforcements come to the aid of the Byzantine Empire. If you enjoy the more military and warlike elements of historical TV shows, then Rise of Empires Ottoman is a great recommendation for you, as the show has a magnificent cast, amazing use of commentary by historians, and a surprisingly accurate level of realism regarding siege tactics and stratagems. So if you're looking for a show that is brutal, entertaining, and will keep you on the edge of your seat from the beginning to end, then Rise of Empires is my recommendation for you. At number 3, it is Barbarians, a Germanic historical TV series which covers the Roman Empire's attempts to occupy Germanica in 9 AD, and the rebellion against the conquest by the Germanic tribes led by Arminius. This show does a fantastic job of bringing this little talked about time in world history to the small screen, and with Germans and Romans both speaking their native languages rather than English, it gives the show a much more authentic feel than most historical TV shows. Barbarians is a show that does a great job of bringing the politics and societal norms of the Germanic tribes to life, and it really highlights the training they had to endure from the Romans, which eventually forces them to rebel. Barbarians benefits from great costume design, realistic set pieces, and an interesting plot that really hooks the viewer in from episode 1. Some of the acting in this show can be weak at times, and it does not do a great job of fleshing out the Romans as more than just the big baddies in the show. However, if you're looking for an authentic and unique experience about German history, then The Barbarians by Netflix is my recommendation for you. And number 2 is the Netflix original film The Outlaw King, which shows the struggle and sacrifices Robert the Bruce had to endure to win back the Scottish crown from England. This film focuses on the outlaw period of Robert the Bruce's life, from 1304 to 1307, when he was rebelling against the English forces in Scotland, who far outnumbered his own small tribe of supporters, resulting in Robert launching a guerrilla war for most of this 3-year period. I really enjoyed The Outlaw King, as I was aware of the general outline of Robert the Bruce's trajectory to becoming King of Scotland, but I didn't realize till after watching this film just how much sacrifice and loss Robert had to endure before he's able to get even one large victory over the English, and it is due to this emotional bond that the film is able to develop between the characters and viewers that I rate this film so highly. I also appreciate how this film was able to highlight to audiences just how difficult it is for a small-scale rebellion to grow into a revolution which will change the entire historical outlook of a country. The Outlaw King is a historically accurate, perfectly acted movie which has an engaging and heartbreaking storyline, making it a thrilling watch for any fan of historical films. The top spot on this list goes to The Last Kingdom, a TV show show based off the best-selling The Saxon Stories novels by Bernard Cornwell. The Last Kingdom follows a central character named Utrecht, a born Saxon but raised Dane, making him a useful tool to be used by leaders and kings for both cultures for their own political and personal ambitions. The story has a range of amazing secondary and primary characters, a fantastic plot with minimal filler, a tight-knit story, and amazing use of military tactics and battle scenes as well. The Last Kingdom is a fantastic show which makes great use of its historical backdrop, political settings, and the religious contention between pagans and Christians to create a show that gets better and better with each season. The Last Kingdom is able to continually keep the show interesting as it is able to bring in new characters and story elements effectively, which provides longevity to the show in a great way. The small criticism I have with the show is that the first season starts off a little bit slow and seems a bit rushed and struggles with pacing, which might deter viewers from reaching the second and third season, which are The Last Kingdom and its peak as some of the highest quality historical TV shows ever produced. So if you're looking for a top